Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Quintel Kickoff Show here in our Centier Bank Studios. I'm Jack Thiel, alongside me, Mike Dewan. We're about to get set for some Friday Night Lights Week 7. Last games in the month of September. It's crazy. I feel like yesterday we were talking about the first day of September when we had football games. But here we are getting to the tail end of the regular season, and we have some jam-packed matchups for you tonight. And, of course, if you have seen our kickoff shows throughout the year, we're going to go over some of the games. We'll talk about our game nights built by Von Tobel. We'll talk about some of our other games that include our RSN top 10 teams. And at the end of the show, we'll kind of highlight some of those games some more and go in depth about them. So with that being said, here is this week slate in Northwest Indiana. You got the Bishop Knoll Warriors going against River Forest. The Ingett's trying to kind of get back on track. They had a good start to the year, but a couple of losses as of late. Then you got the number 9 Boone Grove Wolves. They'll face off against the Whiting Oilers. Next, the Calumet Warriors will face off against the Wheeler Bearcats. One of our top 10 matchups, it's the Battle of Hammond Central Wolves against the Morton Governors. Then you have the Battle of the Bridge, Highland and Munster going at it. And, of course, Mike Dewan next to me knows all about that one. We'll talk about that later. Top 5 matchup in our RSN Top 10. And one of our game nights built by Von Tobel, the number 5 Hobart Brickies. We'll go all the way to Cedar Lake, Indiana, where it's homecoming for the Hanover Central Wildcats, our number 2 team. And then flipping over will be the Lake Station Eagles against the South Central Satellites, the LaPorte Slicers, and the Crown Point Bulldogs, number 1 team in our RSN rankings. This is also one of our game nights built by Von Tobel. Once again, LaPorte and number 1 Crown Point. Then one of our top 10s, Lake Central, number 10 team. They'll face off and go all the way to Chesterton, trying to bounce back what was a tough loss for them last week. The Lowell Red Devils and the KV Cougars, both coming in at 2 and 4, look to face off tonight. And then one of our other game nights built by Von Tobel, a top 4 matchup. You got the Maryville Pirates going all the way to the number 3 Valpo Vikings. And then you have the Portage Indians looking for their first win of the year. They'll face off against the Michigan City Wolves, who come in at number 6 in our top 10 rankings. And then what is probably one of the most exciting matchups that's not top 10, we're definitely going to talk about it, the West Side Cougars and the Griffith Panthers, a couple of bubble teams going off in Griffith, Indiana. And, of course, we have 3 Saturday games for you. The Indrain 59ers will play Indy Charter Trojans, who are 6-0 on Saturday. Then you have the EC Central Cardinals. They'll face off against Parkview Christian, all the way from Illinois. And then the North Newton Spartans will face off against the South Bend Clay Colonials. Once again, that's this week's slate of Friday Night Football for Region Sports Network. We're going to take a break, and then after that, we're going to talk about our game nights built by Von Tobel, as you're watching the Quintel Kickoff Show here on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Update your kitchen or bathroom with Von Tobel. Get 20% off select cabinets now through October 28th. Von Tobel has cabinets and vanities in a range of styles and colors. Plus, built-in storage, countertops, and flooring. Our designers will help you find the perfect selections for your style and budget. Scan to visit VonTobels.com today to book your free consultation at one of our 4 Indiana showrooms. Von Tobel, building better together.
Quintel Incorporated is a family-owned and operated company located in Northwest Indiana that specializes in the reconditioning, repair, and remanufacturing of heat exchangers. Since 1994, Quintel has been handling jobs of all sizes throughout the country. Equipped with the most modern technology and advanced tools, Quintel provides top-notch service. When you trust Quintel for all your needs, you'll get peace of mind and a finished job that exceeds your expectations. For more info about Quintel and the services they provide, visit quintel-inc.com.
When life takes you places and you can't get to the store, shop online with Strack and Van Til To Go. Our to-go service is easy to use, and it can save you time and money. Once your order is in, our own Strack and Van Til team preps your order with care. For delivery or pickup, enjoy the convenience of letting our to-go team shop for you. Enjoy your special moments. Sign up online today at shop.strackandvantil.com.
Hi, I'm Crowell Company's Lantern Man. I'll cover your motorcycle. I'll be with you on the water. I'll be with you on the snow. I'll cover your insurance needs wherever you go. I'll be at Crowell Agency from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. As Crowell Company's Lantern Man, I'm your insurance superhero.
Crowell Companies, the insurance professionals in Highland, Maryville, and Michigan City. From schools to stadiums, hospitals, and bridges, everywhere you look, union carpenters are building Indiana. With jobs and skilled trades in high demand, there's never been a better time to start building your future. As an apprentice, you'll earn a debt-free college degree, earn while you learn, and receive great benefits like healthcare and retirement. So what are you waiting for? Visit carpenters.com to learn more. Visit carpenters.com and start building your future today.
Back here in the Quintel Kickoff Show in our Centier Bank Studios. Just joining us, I'm Jack Thiel, alongside me, Mike DeWan. We went over what Region Sports will be covering this Friday and, of course, Saturday afternoon, a couple of games we had there. And you can always check the hometown scoreboard, courtesy of our friends from Strack Van Til, on our YouTube and Facebook page. Once again, if you want to look at all those scores for tonight's games and tomorrow's afternoon games, once again, our hometown scoreboard, courtesy of our friends from Strack and Van Til. Now, Mike DeWine, we've got 3 game nights built by Von Tobel. Should be a lot of fun to cover. The first one, this is going to be a battle, a conference battle that can really decide who's going to win that conference. It's the number 5 Hobart Brickies going against the number 2 Hanover Central Wildcats. We kind of highlighted this a little bit in Region Football Weekly, but this is a battle. I mean, I don't know if you would say heavyweights just because usually Hanover Central, you don't mention them in that category, but the way they've been playing this year, they definitely deserve to be in that category.
For sure. That this is definitely a game. I believe that it's for the title. I think both schools have one conference game left. I believe that Hanover and Hobart both play Hammond Central rounding out the year, and then they have their last respective conference game in that other week. But this is for all the marbles right here. This game has so many implications. I mean, there's so much talent on both sides, and again, we'll see. I don't know if these teams have really played competition like this in some time. Andrean played Hobart very well, but I think that this Hanover team could be even better than that Andrean team. And it's, we're going to have to see where these teams kind of stack up. I think, again, Hanover has a big chance to really prove those doubters wrong, that we're kind of coming into the year and see, how they would perform in the NCC. And Hobart, I mean, it's just another chance for them to kind of regain, their status in the area as one of the best teams, winning the NCC outright in this kind of year of uncertainty of a team, potentially who's going to win this conference. And Hobart could really kind of shut the doubters up themselves and kind of reclaim that status as the team to beat in this conference. So, again, we're very happy to be a part of it. It's, I'm going with Hanover, like I said yesterday, but it's a toss-up. A lot of these games this week are coin flips. That's why I had so many games decided by 3. Yeah. So it can go either way. I think Hanover has the firepower on both sides of the ball. Not saying Hobart doesn't, but I just think Hanover kind of gets it over the top. Being at home in front of a great crowd, homecoming night, it's going to be a fun time over there.
Well, let's start with Hobart just because this is a team that has been battle tested. We talked about that 10-point late comeback against Andrean. Homecoming night for them. Yeah. Now they go to another homecoming atmosphere at Hanover. What are your keys for the game for the Hobart Brickies? They got quarterback in Sorensen. Obviously, TJ Caldwell, one of the best in the area. Willie Shahir, he's done a really good job at running back. What are your keys for Hobart to get that, huge road win?
I think they have to balance out their offensive attack. I think the teams that Hanover has faced, I think they were very run dominant. They beat KV very well. They beat Munster last week, who just about all they do was run. They beat Lowell. Highland is kind of more of a running team as well, and they haven't really seen a passing attack since they played Morton in week 2. And Morton gave them their best battle. They only beat them by 10, and Morton, they kind of threw the ball around a little bit, and we'll talk about them later. But Hobart, I think, is the best passing team. They may play all season, and I think, instead of if you're Hanover, relying on your defensive line, the guys in the trenches, you got to kind of turn to your secondary, and that's where TJ Caldwell kind of comes in, the arm of Johnny Sorensen, and I think they have to open up that passing attack a little bit more if they want to go into Hanover and take a dub here.
Now for Hanover, it's interesting for them because they've, we talk about how they were tested against Morton, but that wasn't really that big of a test, I'd say, just because they haven't faced as much as adversity as a team like Hobart. Hobart's had to battle in those games. They've had to grind for those games. For a team like Hanover Central, they've probably only had to play one game all 4 quarters. Throughout the season, they've dominated teams with the running clock. They've really, their starters have probably been out there the whole time. They've probably been able to have a couple of, backups come in and take over some time just, to prevent injuries. So for Hanover's side of things, you go into this game, obviously your hardest opponent you faced all year long, probably your most packed house you're going to have in a while, just because, like we said, It's a lot of hype Hanover has probably in recent years. It's homecoming. It's going to be a beautiful Friday night tonight. So what are your keys for Hanover to, even if they are tested, how do you respond to that without really, showing that you can respond to that?
I think you just got to use the crowd as ammo in a way. You can't use it to kind of harm you. I know we've talked about it plenty of times that homecoming is a blessing and a curse. It's a super, super fun week, especially for the seniors who get to dress up and do all the fun festivities, but it can be very distracting. And as a player who's kind of gone through that, I could definitely attest to that. There's a lot of stuff going on. And it's a lot of pressure. Again, you're the center of attention for a night, almost for the whole week.
Yeah.
And it's all on you. So you have to use that not to kind of seem like it's a weight on your shoulders. You have to use it that these people are backing with you and they're with you for the night and they're by your side, and you got to ride that momentum, coming into this game where a very talented Hobart team is going to come in and try and take the top spot of the NCC. So I think Hanover, again, we mentioned they just got to play their game. They got to use their weapons, keep that balanced attack, keep it going. They got Caden Verrett, who's great pass-catching running back who could also, of course, score on the ground. And Matt Kuntz has been one of the best quarterbacks in the conference, maybe even the area. And their defense is very solid. And I just think they just don't get caught up in all the noise. I think you just have to play your game, and I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, it'll be important for them to keep their head in the game and to really just look straight. Don't worry about anything else except what's going on the football field tonight. Once again, that's one of our game nights built by Von Tobel. We're going to start here in a little bit at Hanover Central. Once again, you can watch on our website, regionsports.com, and our Facebook and YouTube pages. Now time for our second game night built by Von Tobel. This will be an audio broadcast. The number 1 Crown Point Bulldogs are home, and they will face off against the LaPorte Slicers. Now for Crown Point, really not much you can say. For the first time they were tested. Throughout the year we saw them really have dominant wins. We saw them tested a little bit against Lake Central, but they still won that game by 20 or more points. This was the first time against Valpo where, they really, A, were losing the game, and B, they had to make some adjustments to win that game. They did so. It was a great job by the whole team, and of course, Coach Craig Bazia. Now they come in with a little bit of an easier opponent, LaPorte. Things have been rough for them ever since that impressive New Prairie win. They've lost 5 in a row. When they go on the road for LaPorte, things just don't go well for them. In their 3 games on the road, they've only scored, I believe, 7 points. So it's going to really, depend on the sophomore quarterback, Aiden Penzel. It's going to go in a very rough and tough environment because it's homecoming for Crown Point, I believe, as well. It might have been last week. I'm not sure what the case was on Crown Point. But nevertheless, you have a very young and experienced LaPorte team, especially at the quarterback position, going against A, the best team in the region, and B, one of the best teams in the state of Indiana. We'll start with LaPorte just because obviously it's like, you go into the David versus Goliath match.
Yeah, it's an uphill battle.
Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle. So if, you're Austin Epple, you're the head coach, long bus ride, what are you telling your team ahead of this matchup to where obviously everyone's, having that preconceived notion that it's going to be Crown Point's win?
Yeah, I've been in plenty of these matchups as a player where we know it's going to be it's uphill battle. I think if you're Coach Epple, I think you just got to fight and grow. That's it. Even as a coach, as an interim head coach, I think you have to grow as a team, kind of dig deep. If you fight for 4 quarters, no matter what the score is, it should be you should be left satisfied against one of the area's best teams. The best team, probably one of the better teams in the state. It's an uphill battle, simply put. And you have to, again, it's a young team, of course. Under center, we have Aiden Penzel, who's a sophomore. Got a couple guys that are, again, not seniors, and this is a very great learning experience.
Yeah.
Again, never can count out any team on the deck, but it's a very good learning experience going to a hostile environment, playing the best team in the area. They just, again, fight for 4 quarters, and I'm sure Epple will be satisfied.
Now for Crown Point, it's important for them not to overlook this game. You don't want to go into this game and all of a sudden you regret how you played out there. Because, look, LaPorte, 1-5, not great. But Aiden Penzel has shown he can throw the football. He can sling it. For only being a sophomore, he has great poise as a quarterback. And this is a very spread offense. They run 4 receivers. They're going to make your defense really expand there on the field. And this is also a defense that has forced a decent amount of turnovers. They got a couple of guys with multiple interceptions and forced fumbles. I believe one of their ends has, 5 sacks this year. So, for LaPorte, although 1-5 is not a great record, they still have the players and, have those skill position players to maybe make things interesting. So if you're Crown Point, if you're Craig Busy, obviously, what works, what doesn't work. What are you telling your team to still get them, up and ready for an opponent that, maybe they're not looking as much as they looked at, like a Valpo last week?
I hate to kind of keep repeating myself, but play your game. You're 6-0. You've done the job 6 times so far.
Absolutely.
Especially against a very talented Valparaiso team last week. It's a little bit of kind of a stay healthy and play your game, but it's, again, have fun out there. If it's homecoming, we kind of get that checked out. But it's, again, don't get tuned up in all the noise, but just have fun. You're in front of your home crowd. It's going to be a beautiful night tonight, and it's, again, have fun. That's it. It's a very, again, you can't take any team lightly in the DAC, but this, again, looking very favorable for Crown Point. You just got to ride your playmakers. Noah Ehrlich, Larry Ellison, Nick Soley, Landon Delich, the defense, the Clark brothers. They got it all, and on paper they're looking very solid tonight. And just keep doing your thing. That's it. Winning, you talked to Coach Buzz, and he said winning is tough, no matter what the score is.
Yeah.
Rather be 6-0 than 0-6, like now that we could say now. But it's, again, just keep at it. Get another win, check it off the book, and move on the next week. That's just play your game, have fun, and go do this.
Well, no matter if it's homecoming or not, Bulldog Stadium's going to be packed. Great,
that's for sure.
Great home fans Crown Point has, and they have just been one of the most impressive runs, not just in the regular season, but also the DAC. The amount of wins or games they've won in a row, in the DAC especially.
11 straight.
11 straight. Yeah, I don't know how you do that. They were undefeated in the regular season last year. Have a very good chance of doing that again. We talked about how they kind of went through that tough run in the DAC. They faced Valpo. They faced a Maryville team. They faced a better Lake Central team in recent years. Their last true test, in my opinion, is going to be Michigan City, a team that does have a lot of playmakers. We saw them obviously last week. So, for Crown Point, looking at the end of the season, it's really, important for them to, keep this mojo going, keep this momentum going so they don't have what happened last year against Lafayette Jefferson.
And going into that, I think you mentioned LaPorte's offense kind of spread offense, and I think Crown Point's kind of ran into a couple teams that run a lot, but you go into Michigan City and LaPorte, and these teams are kind of more spread offense, just throw the ball around. That kind of gets you ready. You hate looking for the future, but it gets you ready for any type of offense you may see come postseason time. And it gets the defense kind of ready acclimated for this postseason teams you may potentially run in, and it could be served kind of a practice in a way. A game, of course, it's always fun to play a game, but it's a learning lesson too. You kind of get ready for these new offenses that you maybe haven't seen all season.
Now, I will say from my experience watching Crown Point this year, the one game where they did have trouble with the passing game, it seemed like Lake Central, they found some holes in that defense when it came to the passing game. Chase Kwiatkowski was able to move the ball down the field pretty well.
Yeah.
Better than a lot of other quarterbacks have against
That's
Crown
for sure.
Point. So maybe something in the tape there, because LaPorte, they do that a lot. They throw the ball, no matter if they're up, down, or tied. They're going to rely on the arm of Penzel. Like I said, for a sophomore, this kid's got a lot of poise. He's got a great arm. Look for Ollie Kring, his senior receiver. He's one of the guys for him. John Lane, one of the running backs, another guy. So I'll be curious to see if that spread offense gives Crown Point some trouble. But I would say if it does give them some trouble, I wouldn't be shocked if Craig Bazia makes that adjustment and Crown Point does what they do best. So
right, I'm with you.
Once again, when our game night's built by Von Tobel, audio-only broadcast, LaPorte at Crown Point. That will be starting shortly. And our last game night built by Von Tobel, this will be a video broadcast, a top 4 matchup in Valpo, Indiana. The Maryville Pirates at 5-1. Valpo Vikings at 4-2. Maryville lost Crown Point. They've kind of bounced back. It was really defense. We saw the offense last week for Valpo, trying to not have what happened last year in the regular season. You lose to Penn, you lose to Crown Point. You face Maryville after Crown Point last year and you lose, trying to reverse their fortune and get a win against Maryville this year.
Yeah, I think for Valpo, again, the status of Davis, I think, is still in question, which we know of their backups and that they're still very talented.
Thomas Berta.
Right. He's still a very talented running back who could run behind a fantastic O-line. But I think for Valpo, I don't know how much you could rely on the run game as you have of games past. It's with the way Maryville's defense is playing, especially that front seven, they're as hot as any defensive unit in the state is right now. Again, giving up 7 points in the past 3 games, and 2 of those were shutouts. Those are back-to-back shutouts, by the way. So I think you have to mix in the passing game a little bit. I think you have to try and extend the field vertically and horizontally, maybe an extension of the run game, get the ball to Bradney and any other weapons you may have on the outside. But I don't know how much they could rely on that run game, especially with Davis being out. I mean, no disrespect to Berta as the backup, but it's
harder. And Davis was accounted for at least 11 touchdowns and so many rushing yards.
He's been the offense. I mean, granted, they have plenty of other weapons on that Valpo offense, but he's been the main bell cow, and I think you may have to kind of expand that horizon. Again, this is literally a playoff game. Mm-hmm. They're probably going to meet, maybe in regionals, best case scenario. I think that's when they would meet, but this is preseason football disguised in week 7.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because, we never really seen Justin Clark take over a game. So when you have, like we said, Davis, a guy who can take over a game, we've never seen that from Justin Clark, really. He's really relied on Davis for the most part, but he does have the receivers to do it. And it's going to start with Scotty Bradney.
Yeah.
We call him Tyreek Hill S just because how fast he is, the type of role he plays, and you're going to have probably, the extension of the run game. You're going to probably have to run that with Bradney a lot more tonight than you've had throughout the year. But for Maryville, obviously, they want to come. They're coming in this game the way they wanted to after that Crown Point game. Look, because after that loss at Crown Point, we never really heard of J.Q. Johnson and Dante Pope for a couple of games. And then last week was the first time we kind of heard about them in a little bit. And like you mentioned, 2 shutout wins in a row for them. And, one against a Michigan City team who does have a pretty good offense. Obviously, Jaden Hart, the Syracuse commit. So I think for Maryville, they've got a lot of momentum, a lot of confidence. But for Valpo, you don't know the status of your best player.
Yeah.
And sour taste lost because you were beating Crown Point at Crown Point.
Right.
So it's kind of like, how do you pick yourself up? How do you, put that in the rear view, be the mind of goldfish.
There you go.
And remember that you got to focus on what's in front of you. You can't take the game back. You can't redo it. You just got to play the game in front of you.
Yeah, you're right about Maryville. It's I think with them, they can't rely on their defense this game. They've kind of having to, at least for when they played Portage and who they play after Portage, Michigan City. They relied on their defense heavily. Offense couldn't really get much going. And then the Port, you kind of saw the sparks of the early season Pirate offense that we were so stoked on at the beginning of the year. And it's, again, you have to ride that momentum. It's the whole season's kind of a momentum type game. There's a pendulum that swings, and it's pretty high for Maryville right now on both sides of the ball, and it has to stay that way because I don't think, with how talented this Valparaiso team is on both sides of the ball, you have to have a full team effort from Maryville tonight to walk into Valparaiso and get the job done.
Yeah, once again, those are 3 game nights built by Von Tobel, Hobart at Hanover, LaPorte at Crown Point, audio only, and then Maryville at Valpo. That will be a video broadcast. Those games are going to start soon, but we're not done here on the Quintel Kickoff Show. After the break, we're going to go over some games that aren't in our top 10 or on our game nights, but definitely are going to garner a lot of interest here in the region as you're watching the Quintel Kickoff Show here on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
Have you checked out Centier Bank's student checking account? This no-fee checking account is perfect for students and teens ages 14 to 24 and comes with all the features you need to succeed, such as a debit card, digital banking, and automatic deposit. Centier Bank can help you start establishing good spending habits today for your better tomorrow. For more information, visit Centier.com/student-checking or visit your local branch. If you are under the age of 18, your parent or guardian must also sign on the Centier student checking account. At the age of 25, your account will automatically convert to the Centier checking account. You must deposit $25 to open this account. This account is not eligible for overdraft advantage. Member FDIC.
With electrical services from Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, you can radiate the perfect amount of light and energy into your home. From rewiring and code upgrades to ceiling fans, lighting, security, and more, Economy Electric Heating and Cooling's trained electricians will make sure you can enjoy your home on full power all the time. For a free estimate on electrical work, call Economy Electric Heating and Cooling at 219-923-4441, and you can visit them on the web at 4ajobdoneright.com. That's the number 4ajobdoneright.com.
Back here on the Quintel Kickoff Show in our Suntier Bank Studios, almost set for kickoff on this beautiful Friday night. I'm Jack Thiel. We got Mike DeWan next to me, Zach Sinelli producing. Of course, we went over all the games going on that we're going to cover in Northwest Indiana, especially our 3 game nights built by Von Tobel that you can view on our website, regionsports.com, facebook.com, and YouTube. And, of course, you want to follow our scoreboard, our hometown scoreboard throughout the night, courtesy of our friends from Strack Van Til. You can find it on our Facebook and YouTube page as well. Now, I'm going to go over some games that maybe aren't our game nights built by Von Tobel. We talked about them a little bit in the earlier part of the show. But these games, they got a lot riding on them, a lot of hype, some rivalries, and I know Mike DeWan knows one very well. But the first one we're going to talk about is the Battle of Hammond. The Hammond Central Wolves against the Morton Governors. Hammond Central number 7, Morton number 8. The Wolves 4-2. The Governors 3-3. What's interesting about the Governors is they're coming off a forfeited win. For Hammond Central, 2 straight losses in a row. They've lost to Pioneer and Chula Vista East Lake. Obviously, we talk about Deshaun Woods and the amazing player he is. But, we talked about this, Mike. This is a game that, many games this week where record doesn't matter. These two schools don't like each other.
No.
They want to win. And the fact that it's a top 10 matchup even makes it better.
Yeah, I think I'd say in about 5 years, this might be one of the better rivalries of the area. Again, with how young these teams are and how talented those younger players are, again, I think I'm very, very excited for this matchup and to see who comes out on top. I think for Central, we've talked about Deshaun Woods all year, but what the same trend has kind of been. It's been the same in these past 2 losses of theirs. Deshaun Woods playing great, but nobody else kind of at his side. And I think you have to find somebody else to kind of be of his assistance tonight if you want to go into Morton and kind of, keep that unblemished record again against them. They're 2-0 against Morton. This is both by last year and most recently a 1-point win in the sectional opener. So it's a big bounce back game for Central. It doesn't get much better than this to open up the conference against a school that's not too far from you, sharing the same city borders as you, and you just have to find that sidekick if you're Hammond Central, I think.
Well, one rivalry that's been instilled in Northwest Indiana for many years, it's the Battle of the Bridge, Highland, Munster. There's just so much history between these two teams. I mean, you've got, of course, our executive producer, Chris Ramirez, Jay Simmons, you, Mike DeWan. My parents are even very familiar with this rivalry. My mom went to Munster, my dad went to Highland.
Ooh.
So, this is a rivalry that is just so big in the area. And we talked about who cares what the record is. It only matters what color that bridge is going to be Friday night or Saturday morning. And obviously you've played in this game for multiple years. You've also experienced it probably as a fan as well after your playing days. This is going to be, like I said, this is a good game just because records don't matter. These teams want to win. You do not want to lose to these teams. I think there's always, in any sport, there's games where you look on your schedule, and it's like, if we're 0-7, I don't care. We just need to beat this team. We need to win this game. And that's how it is with these two teams. Both of these teams could be 0-6 right now. But all they care about is winning against Munster or Highland, vice versa. So
understood. It's completely that way. Again, I think this is the best rivalry in Northwest Indiana, and I stand by that. Totally unbiased opinion, but it's again, I think for Highland, they've had their number against Munster. Since 2018, Pete Culianos has yet to lose to them, and the rivalry's in their hands. They've had the bridge for quite some time, and I think the thing with Highland is they haven't been able to find their offense in the past few weeks, and Munster's defense isn't particularly great. There's a lot of holes on that Munster defense from what I know, and Highland's got to kind of use this as a get-back game to get their offense back going and put up some points against a not great Munster defense. And I think Munster, they got to all they kind of do is run the ball. They run that wishbone offense, and they got the top rusher in the area, and they got to kind of ride him all night. They got to. Again, I think it starts with their defense a little bit. They got to kind of, stop that struggling Highland offense if they want to take the bridge back. But it's always such a fun game. Again, the best rivalry I think in Northwest Indiana, and it's a fun time. It'll be good.
You talked about how Munster runs that wishbone offense, always running the football. Highland, they did a pretty good job on Deshaun Woods when they played.
That's true.
They contained him and almost helped them get that huge win. But Askerdam, it's going to be huge for him to kind of get things going on the offense just because, like I said, I believe, I can't remember his name, one of the guys on the Highland defensive line.
I think I think the matchup of the night is Daniel Askerdam, the running back of Munster, and then Nick Johnson.
Nick Johnson,
of Highland, the linebacker.
One of the leading tacklers.
Who is the leading tackler, I believe, in that area according to our statistical leaderboard. I'm sure he's going to be keyed up on him all night. Just guarding that wishbone offense, watching the inside handoff to Askerdam, and that's going to be a fun matchup between some of the two areas' best players.
Yeah, once again, Battle of the Bridge, Munster, Highland. Can't get any better. It's
gives me chills, man.
It's about to get started. I'm sure that place is packed right now.
Yeah.
Just because it's around that homecoming time, and of course it's a beautiful Friday night.
Yes, sir.
Now time for a game that really could tell us, something about each of these teams. Number 10, Lake Central goes into Chesterton. Chesterton 2-4. For Lake Central, coming off one of the toughest losses you could ever endure, losing on a buzzer-beating touchdown when you think you've won the game. Could have gone to this game 4-2 and tied for second in DAC. Now they come in 3-3 in that middle. For Chesterton, they lost their starting quarterback in the earlier part of the year. Now it's time for their backup quarterback to really take over things. Chesterton, they're 2-4, but I don't think that record really represents how good this team is and how tough they are, just because Chesterton, they've played in a lot of close games where they've won and lost. And I think what's really more impressive is the way they played against Valpo. It was a loss, but they really kept themselves in that game for the majority of the time. And you go against a Lake Central team that does have Xavier Williams back. For the first time, we officially know way ahead of game time. We didn't know last week, more of a game time decision. But, we were at their practice this week, and he looked pretty free. Even though he does have that knee brace on, he looked like he was 100% and ready to go. So we'll see how that offense runs. But talk about Lake Central being able to throw the ball and run the ball. For Chesterton, a couple of changes on the offense with some injuries, but still, this is a Chesterton team that's going to play you tough. And if you want to have any shot of beating Chesterton, even just going there on the road, you have to grind it out. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have to get hit hard. You're going to have to play physical. And you're really going to have to play your best football against a team that will take advantage of your mistakes.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's a far bus drive for LC.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of get over that before you even get off the bus, get over that long travel time. And both these teams, again, are very similar, as you mentioned. They've have some impressive losses and some impressive wins and some heartbreakers as well. So it's, again, I'm thinking LC kind of gets their get back today. They haven't beat Chesterton since 2016. And again, we've talked about the start of this 3-game gauntlet for the Indians, and I think they have to get back on track. I think it all depends on how they flush that game from last week. Again, that might be the worst way to lose a football game. If not, it's
on homecoming.
On homecoming. So it's terrible for the Indians, but again, you got to ride Xavier. I think he's the guy. And Chesterton, you have to have those guys step up. When guys go down, you have to have somebody waiting in the shadows, kind of hoping to make big plays like could be tonight. So it's a very solid matchup. I think two very evenly matched teams, and it's a big game for LC. You got to kind of get that since 2016 you haven't beat the Chesterton team, and I think to start this tough 3-game stretch, you have to go into enemy territory and take care of business.
Yeah, absolutely. So that'll be at Chesterton, number 10, Lake Central against the Trojans. Now for Westside and Griffith. Griffith, one of our bubble teams, number 11. So possibly a win here for the Panthers. Could get them in our top 10 for the first time. Phil Mason done an amazing job so far. Only one senior on the team. They started 0-3. They've won 3 in a row. It's been Jackson Lawson, the junior running back, really just having a season to remember on the ground. Of course, Colton Strezzo, the quarterback, doing very well. But for Griffith, at home, obviously a lot of momentum on your side just because you start the year 0-3. You're not expected to do much just because, like we said, only one senior. And, give them credit just because they were very close to winning that game against Highland in the first game of the year. There were some things didn't go their way. And, Phil Mason said on Barbershop Talk at Level Up Barber Lounge that that game just got away from us. We were so close to winning that game, and it just didn't happen. So, you don't pout, you don't sit, and, you go out there and you play. And that's what they've done. They've won 3 in a row. Jackson Lawson's done it. Wheeler, they're still, or I should say Westside, a team that likes to run the ball. Marion Yarbrough, one of the best running backs in the area. So if you like running, this is your game. But for Griffith, an opportunity to really make a statement by winning 4 in a row after a tough start to the year.
Yeah, I got to say, I didn't see Griffith winning 3 straight. After those, again, there were close losses. They lost to Munster, too, I believe by 8 or 6. And then they got blown out by Hammond Central. But I didn't think they'd be in this position. And they've showed, again, this is a very young team. Not only looking forward to what they could do tonight and the rest of this year, but for next year. And, again, it all starts and ends with, I think, Jackson Lawson, who I think is 3rd in our area in rushing yards. And Westside's got to do it of their own. Again, Yalbur, I think he's 4th, right behind Lawson. So a lot of handoffs tonight. Again, don't count out Westside. I know that was a tough loss last week, and they're kind of looking to kind of get their footing back. But Griffith being at home, I think it's their first meeting, Westside and Griffith, so that's very exciting. But, again, a lot of running the ball, some of the best running backs in the area. And for Griffith, again, just keep doing what you're doing. You guys are hot right now. Keep riding those juniors and younger leaders that you have going on. And, again, things are looking up for Griffith, but Westside could, again, also always make some noise tonight. So we'll see. Again, we're happy to be a part of it. Another great Friday, man. It's good times.
Yeah, Griffith and Westside, they've met 3 times in their history. First time since 2018. We're not done yet here on the Quintel Kickoff Show. We're going to come back after this break and kind of finish it off and get you guys ready for kickoff. That's going to happen in a short couple of minutes here at our Centier Bank Studios on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Develop skills that will last for a lifetime with an apprenticeship with the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers Local 4, Indiana, Kentucky. The apprenticeship and training program is committed to developing highly skilled bricklayers, terrazzo workers, and ceramic tile setters to provide the construction industry with the best hands in the business. If you are currently working non-union and want better pay with benefits, or if you think learning a new skill with a paid apprenticeship while you earn your associate's degree is the right path for you, visit baclocal4.org/training to learn more about the apprenticeship program. Are you built to succeed?
For over 100 years, Burns Funeral Home and Crematory has been assisting families in their time of need. Serving Northwest Indiana, the staff at Burns Funeral Home will help guide your family in creating a meaningful ceremony. From a simple to elaborate, to traditional or unique, the caring family at Burns Funeral Home will tailor a ceremony to fit your needs. And for your other loved ones, Burns Funeral now has a pet cemetery and crematory. Visit burnsfuneral.com or give them a call at 219-942-1117.
Growing up in Northwest Indiana, I am proud that my family's been doing business here for nearly 100 years, which started with my grandfather, John Gladish. Over my career, I've witnessed families being torn apart by the negligence of others, and everything from unguarded openings at construction sites to reckless driving on our roads. Our experienced attorneys, paralegals, and staff know that insurance companies and their lawyers will go to great lengths to avoid paying compensation. Do not waste your one and only opportunity to seek fair compensation for your loss. Give the Gladish Law Group a call and put our team to work for you.
Blythe's Team Sports in Valparaiso is a leader in athletics apparel and equipment sales. With in-house production including screen printing, trophies, embroidery, and more, Blythe's can help you to create the perfect look. For more information, visit them online at teamblythes.com. Blythe's Team Sports in Valparaiso, where the athletes shop.
Centrally located in downtown Indianapolis, the Hampton Inn is just steps away from Bankers Life Fieldhouse. Situated at 105 South Meridian Street, shopping, restaurants, entertainment, and many Indianapolis attractions are in near proximity. Hampton Inn has much to offer, including a hot breakfast, high-speed internet access in every room, as well as a gym fitness center. For reservations, the number is 317-261-1200. The website is hamptonin3.hilton.com. Hampton Inn, Indianapolis, downtown.
Here on the Quintel Kickoff Show in our Centier Bank Studios, almost set for kickoff. Once again, we have 3 game nights built by Von Tobel. It's going to be Hobart at Hanover, LaPorte at Crown Point, audio only, and Maryville at Valpo. That will be a video broadcast. And, of course, you can view all 3 of our game nights built by Von Tobel on our website, regionsports.com, on facebook.com/regionsports, and youtube.com/regionsports. Mike, what are you looking forward to most on this last Saturday, or I should say last September Friday night, Week 7 high school football, getting to that tail end of the regular season? You know, what are you looking forward to tonight?
Well, my birthday's tomorrow. So that's
really?
So that's kind of cool.
Well, happy birthday, Mike.
So, but besides that,
early happy birthday.
That's neither neither here nor there. But again, I'm looking forward to, of course, plenty of talent across the board. A lot of great rivalries and just matchups with talent across the board. And again, for the players, coaches, hopefully players and coaches aren't listening to this, but just take it all in. Again, this is kind of the time where it's senior night, homecoming. This is one of the most special moments, I think, of the year. And it's, again, we're wishing all the best of luck to all the players, coaches, teams out there, and just live it up. It flies by quick. As we mentioned, it's already end of September, and we only had a couple weeks left of this. And just like that, we're on to something else. So let's take it all in. Let's have some more fun. Let's make it a good one, Jack.
And, of course, you can view all the scores on our hometown scoreboard, courtesy of our friends from Strack and Van Til. That will be on our Facebook.com/Region Sports, and, of course, YouTube.com/Region Sports. But for our producer, Zach Zanelli, our executive producer, Chris Ramirez, our operations manager, Rich Castillo, our coordinating producer, Claude Martinez, of course, my co-host and partner in crime, always Mike Dewan. I'm Jack Thiel. Hope you all have a safe night and enjoy some Friday night football here on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.